Today is January 28th, and we're going to be studying RL 5.5. Your I can statement is I can compare and contrast prose, poems, and plays. What does a baseball, a basketball, and a football all have in common? And the answer is, they're all sports. Which of the sports listed has a quarterback? Football. Which one has a pitcher? Baseball. Which sport has two hoops? Basketball. Which one has two end zones? Football. Just as there are many different types of sports, there are many different types of literature. And today, we are going to be looking at the three major types of literature. Let's look first at prose. This is the type of literature that we are most familiar with. We read and write prose every day of our lives. It is organized by paragraphs, sentences, and chapters. Examples of prose would be a book, a magazine, or an informational text. Harry Potter, Diary of the Wimpy Kid, all of those are prose. Poems is another major type. This type of literature is meant to be read out loud with feeling. It is often shorter than prose. It is organized by stanzas and line. Poetry doesn't have to rhyme, but quite often does. Poets use a lot of sense words, imagery, and figurative language when they write their poems. Examples of poems would be I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings or Homework Machine. Plays or drama is the final type of literature that I want to look at. This is the type of literature that is meant to be acted out on a stage in front of an audience. You will have a cast of character and stage directions, and that's how you know that it's a drama or a play. They are organized with acts and scenes and written mostly in dialogue. Plays are typically centered around a plot or a theme. An example of a play would be Macbeth by Shakespeare. In this chart below, I just want to talk about some comparisons between poems, drama, and plays. So a setting, time, or place something happens, as you can see, poem, drama, and prose all can have settings. Dialogue, conversations characters have with one another. Obviously in a poem, you're typically not going to have a conversation with somebody else. But it does happen in a drama, and it does happen in prose. A cast of characters, list of characters that tells who will be appearing in the play. That's only going to happen in a drama. You typically don't see a cast of characters in a poem or prose. Stage directions, instructions to the actors or director. That is in a drama. Description, details about events, settings, or characters. That is in all three. You're going to find description in poems, drama, and prose. Chapters, the main division in a novel. This is how prose is organized. It's organized by chapters, so obviously you're not going to find that in a drama or a prose. Stanza, a group of verses that describes an image or idea. And again, you find that in a poem. And finally, down at the bottom, narrator, someone who shares the story details with the reader. You will find that in a poem, in drama, and also in prose. So we're going to read these two pieces of literature about the same character, and then we're going to compare and contrast them. So I will read this out loud for you. The title of this is called Angie's Solo by Lars Gary. My sister Angie's Glee Club was about to perform for their annual show, and the auditorium was packed. I was incredibly nervous because Angie would be singing her first solo in front of an audience, and I really wanted her to do well. At last, the Glee Club members filed on stage and began singing the first song on the program. Too soon, it came time for Angie to sing. Although she seemed tense and was probably trembling inside, I could tell Angie put her heart into it and sang away. But I also knew what she sounded like when she practiced, and tonight's performance was far from perfect. In fact, Angie sounded flat several times. Still, the crowd started cheering even before she had finished. I almost dreaded seeing Angie after the show. Should I be honest about her performance? After all, I knew Angie was extremely sensitive and hated any form of criticism. I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so what should I tell her? "Brian," she called when she saw me, "what do you think of my solo?" I didn't hesitate for a moment. "It was really beautiful. You should be proud of yourself," I replied. When I saw her beaming, I knew that moment how right I was to think the truth is sometimes wrong. The second story is called At the Concert, and this is a poem. At the Concert by Lars Gary. When my sister sang her solo, I thought it sounded awfully flat, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I could hardly tell her that. So later when she asked me what I thought about her song, I told her it was beautiful, because that night the truth felt wrong. After reading the poem and the prose piece there, I want to complete the chart by writing X's in the boxes next to the details that appear in the poem, the prose, or both. Some details might have been used in both. The night of the sister's solo, the setting. Was it in the poem? Was it in the prose? Dialogue between the two characters. Fill that out. Rhyming words that help describe events. Ideas grouped as stanzas. Thoughts and feelings of the narrator. And ideas grouped as paragraphs. And here are your answers. The setting was in both the poem and the prose. The dialogue between the two characters was just in the prose. The rhyming words that helped describe the events was just in the poem. Ideas grouped as stanzas was again just in the poem. Stanzas is a key word. That's how poems are organized. Thoughts and feelings of the narrator, that is in both the poem and the prose. And ideas grouped as paragraphs, that's just in the prose. Again, paragraphs is a key word because that is how prose is organized. This concludes my lesson, so hopefully this was educational. Thank you.